to Beyond the Ring, a podcast that covers all things in the stock show industry from the informative to the insane, starring Ryan Rash.
We never really grow up. We just learn how to act in public.
And Dale Hummel.
Investigate the unexplained. Do not try to explain what has not been investigated.
Now on with the show.
Welcome to Beyond the Ring. This is Dale Hummel, along with co-star Ryan Rash.
Hello, hello, hello.
Ryan, I don't know if we have enough time to cover the shit show going on.
Well, there's a lot. But
there is a lot. We're just going to have to move quickly.
There's just so much. We're just going to have to touch on topics and move on. But before we get into all the drama and the tragedy of all of it, I do want to start with a very positive piece of news.
Rainbows, butterflies, that kind of news.
I know you don't like positivity,
unicorns,
but no.
Wait a minute. I'm the one that fought for that.
Yeah, okay, well, anyways. Moving on, I'm going to be positive today. See, we're going to change up things. So, I would like to announce that the Beyond the Ring Junior Livestock Association has its first national sponsor.
Excellent.
Yes, and we would like to thank Old Wood Limited for sponsoring the all-around division of the National Point System. And for those of you that don't know, Old Wood Limited is got all American products made. Everything's made right here in America, so
no
yay
China
for that. No China, no nothing. And they are one of the nation's largest manufacturers of custom-wide plank flooring and other unique reclaimed building materials. They're in Ohio. Obviously, they're active in the livestock industry, and they have been a very generous sponsor of our newly formed association, and they are excited to be on board. And they want to wish all of the future members of the BTR JLA the best of luck next year. And we appreciate them so much. So go check out their website. It will be on our sponsors page. It's www.oldwoodltd.com. And it's spelled OLDEWOODLTD.com.
Excellent. And that works great for your home, for your barn office, just about anywhere, right? Just about anywhere.
And no China.
None. That is the best part of it. We continue to appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you lead us off with New Mexico?
So the New Mexico State Fair canceled their junior show.
Just their junior show.
That's from the press release that I
Carney's
read.
going to be there. There's going to be corn dogs.
The fair's still going on. I do not know if they canceled all livestock shows or just the junior livestock shows, but it specifically said junior livestock shows.
I would assume this is under the direction of their wonderful governor.
I don't know. I don't know who decided this, but they said that they did not think that there would be enough participation to have it, and they would welcome all the junior exhibitors back next year.
If I was a junior exhibitor in New Mexico, I would go to Oklahoma.
I would torch
one of the replacement
the New
shows.
Mexico State Fairgrounds if I was a junior exhibitor in New Mexico.
You can't say things like that. That is not allowed by somebody out there. Well, I'm going to talk about shooting people in the kneecaps and hanging.
I was going to say you want to shoot people, but I can't go riot at the New Mexico State Fair.
just real quick, and I'm going to go negative, then we'll come back positive. Talking about shooting people in the kneecap. I don't know which state it was. I believe it was Lowe's. 2 individuals fill their shopping carts up, walk out the door with no fear whatsoever. The person at the door says, "Hey, can I see your receipt?" They just laugh at him, go out the door into the parking lot, load the stuff into the car, and leave. And they're riding on the shopping carts, pushing them and jumping up, riding them through the parking lot, enjoying themselves. Speaking of shooting people in the kneecaps, would you be opposed to people getting shot in the kneecaps that are doing shit like that? Would that not stop it?
I'm sure it would. I'm not going to say it would stop it.
Why would you oppose it?
Didn't say as opposed to it. I just, it's out there.
It's a crazy.
I think me going with the torch to the Mexico State Fair is way less violent than shooting somebody in the kneecap.
Yeah, but they are doing things they know they can get away with it. They won't prosecute them because it's a shoplifting offense, and they brought the sheriff or somebody on. I was half asleep when this news popped up or whatever. But the sheriff says, yeah, we can go after them, but they're not going to be prosecuted, basically, or it'll be a minimal fine, if anything, because it's just not a violent offense. So have at it, guys. Open your doors up. Just walk out. I'm going to Walmart today, Ryan. I'm going to fill my card up and I'm just going to walk out the door.
Really?
Yep. Can't prosecute.
And then you're going to be the most angry if somebody shoots you in the kneecap.
I would be. I tell you what, I don't know why we don't do things like that. And we're going to get into some of that today.
Okay. So, like, seriously, Dale is not really wanting to shoot people in the kneecap. And I am seriously not wanting people to go towards the New Mexico State Fairgrounds. Okay.
Speak for yourself.
Okay, I'm speaking for myself. I really don't want y'all to go towards the New Mexico State Fairgrounds. I am highly, highly disappointed that New Mexico would cancel their junior livestock shows, whether they were afraid no one was going to participate for whatever reason, whether it was the replacement shows or not. I hope that Dale really doesn't want shoplifters shot in the kneecap.
Only ones that are taking shopping carts full of material out of the I don't see any other way to stop it.
Next!
California recall.
Yeah, it's not going to go well. I'm very disappointed.
And I have a theory.
I'm very disappointed.
It appears as though Kovacic, Warren, Chameleon, Sleepy Joe, they're all out there campaigning.
Well, no, hold on.
Okay.
Biden has not campaigned yet, but since he's 11% up in the ballots that have come in, he's going to go next week and campaign. So when Newsom doesn't get recalled, he can claim that he did it.
Exactly. And that was a theory I was going to push. I had heard it earlier today on the news, and I think they're dead on. I really believe that he'll go out there and say, hey, I pushed him over the top.
Because they haven't wanted him there until now.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. They haven't wanted him there. And now, since they think
there's a big enough lead.
Yeah.
And that will bode well that he's not toxic to the voting public.
Right, exactly.
I think that's bullshit completely.
It's spin.
It is. I think we're looking great. The trend for the 2022 midterms, Ryan, I think he has screwed up almost everything he's touched. I feel better about the 2022 midterms than I have from the beginning.
Well, I agree. As long as, and the one thing that makes me happy is I'm hearing more states are actually putting in voter laws that make sense. Like you have to have ID. Can't be a dead
Imagine
person.
that.
Yep,
you have to have ID to vote.
So that makes me happy.
We shouldn't even be talking about something like that.
I realize that, sir. Don't get on me. Don't start with me on this. I told y'all this was insane to begin with, that I didn't know how that was even possible. But in Texas, you have to have a voter registration card.
Yes.
Okay? So.
But if you vote by mail, will you photocopy it, or what do you do?
I don't know, because I've never voted by mail.
Remember, and that's discriminating because people don't have photocopiers.
But I remember that's that. Right. That's right. But Abbott has signed in just yesterday, signed in more voter laws. Like
he is becoming my hero.
I'm with
if he builds 2 foot of that wall, I'm donating.
Dale's in.
I may donate just to help. I hear that funds got up there. I want to give you credit for something else, Ryan.
Oh, what?
Remember you talked about who is Oz, and I think that's hilarious. Who is Oz? Who's behind Joe?
You've never told me who Oz is. You've been holding this over my head for almost a week.
And now the media is asking who they are. They're not calling it Oz. It'd be so much better if they'd call it Oz. But they're just saying, who are they?
They're just not as creative as I am.
Who are they? And they're really having a hard time pinning it down. And I think I know.
Who?
No, I'm going to wait until I have more confirmation. But Oz.
I do not think it is his. I'm just going to tell you, I don't know who Oz is. I don't think it's Jen Psaki, and I do not think it's his wife. A lot of people think it's his wife. I do not think it's her. And I damn sure do not think it is his chief of staff, because I had to Google to find out who the hell that person was.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I at this point, I do not believe it to be any of those. And for those of you that maybe didn't catch the last week's episode, when Biden refers to, they said I'd get in trouble if I don't call on this one, or they said don't take this. They're talking about they, commonly now known as Oz by Ryan.
I want to know who the man behind the curtain is. Who's Oz? So
don't we deserve to know there's somebody calling the shots? And
he's literally stated it. Literally, he's like, I have been instructed to call on the reporter for MSNBC first. Like,
yes.
Okay.
Amazing to me. Just amazing. So we're talking about boosters a little bit, Ryan. And I'm going to be careful how I state this, because I'm going to give more facts about it rather than talk somebody in or out of getting the vaccine, because you know what's frustrating to me, and I've been a little more outspoken on this than I probably should be. But if I go and dig information up negative towards the vaccination, I can find enough credible evidence that I do not want to get the vaccine. If I want to go the other direction, I can find the same. So somewhere out there, somebody's misleading us or is confused because there is no general consensus. If you do your own research, you can find both sides. There's probably more on the pro-vaccine side, but some of the people that are on the anti-vaccine side are very credible. So I'm careful with how I approach that. I don't want to talk anybody in or out of it. Ryan and I are both vaccinated. The next step will be, do you consider getting the booster or not? I don't know. I can't even answer those questions at this point. But the booster shots will be available coming soon. There's questions if you got Moderna versus Pfizer the first time, do you need to get the same one the second time? They're both mRNA, and they're basically activating a spike protein defense, so it doesn't matter if you got Pfizer the first time, you get Moderna the second time. All those things are interchangeable. The Johnson & Johnson works differently, so I don't even know that if that's even still on the market, Ryan. But if it is, you would have to get the same Johnson & Johnson. But Moderna and Pfizer are interchangeable for the most part on a basic science level. They may come out and say differently, but I don't believe they will. Data out of Israel indicates boosters at 6 months post your last dose has been effective in those 60 years old and above. Very effective in those. We made a huge mistake, Ryan. And whether you're pro-vaccine or not, this is just a mistake. How long was it? I don't remember did they want between the first and second vaccination? Was it 2 or 3 weeks?
2 weeks.
Okay, it makes no sense, does it? To me, when you
I never understood that.
Now, I understand
but I know
some
people
of our lives,
that got it within 10 days of each other. I also know people that got it within a month of each other.
Most countries separated that by 2 or 3 months, and that seems more logical under this scenario, this type of vaccine, at least mRNAs. Sometimes when we first inoculate an animal, we will do it.
I
2 weeks
thought we were
apart,
going to be quick about things.
Okay, enough of that, but we should have spread those out, in my opinion. I think we'd have got better coverage. Ivermectin. What about the Rolling Stone article?
I don't know about the Rolling Stone article.
Oh, they came out.
I don't care about that. I care about the fact that in Las Vegas, you have to show a picture of you and your horse to buy Ivermectin. I think it's hilarious.
Is why. They went with this front page article, and then Newsweek, everybody else picked it up. Here's a picture of people in winter jackets, supposedly in Oklahoma, that can't get in the hospital, gunshot victims that can't get in the hospital because it's full of ivermectin overdoses. Obviously, this was false. It came out they were false after all the news media that wanted it to be true picked up on it. A single source, and that guy hadn't worked there for 2 months. People are in winter coats. There's so many red flags on this, yet they still went with it. Instead of a retraction, they do an update. So it's not a true retraction. It's all over the place, and it's total crap. The hospital says there has been 0 issues with ivermectin overdose. And you can go online and find the dosage without too much trouble if you want to use ivermectin. I'm not promoting it. I use it on a regular basis, but I'm not going to go much further on that. The FDA has approved the drug ivermectin for humans. This was done a long time ago. It can be repurposed for the treatment of COVID. There is no question, 0 question, nobody can argue that ivermectin will reduce viral replication. If we can't replicate, COVID is of almost no harm. So studies show a 5,000-fold reduction in viral replication under the use of ivermectin. Basic science proves without viral replication, COVID is not going to be an issue if we catch it early enough or on a preventative basis. So I think we're finding a lot of treatment mechanisms out there that for some reason, I don't know why, the White House administration, I don't know who's coming down on it, but they're trying to avoid them for whatever reasons. And I don't get it.
I still think it's the most funny you have taken.
You just want to show a picture of a horse to get ivermectin.
Yes, I think that's the most funny.
Are you sure that's accurate?
Yes, I sent you the news link, idiot.
And so all you got to do is take a picture of a horse, then you can buy it.
There's a store in Las Vegas that will not let you buy ivermectin unless you have a picture of you and your horse.
Okay, there we go. You horse. And your horse. That works a little better. We can still order it online, by the way.
Most funny.
Please share your experience at the Houston hospital while we're talking about COVID.
Oh, God. Okay, please. So, again, y'all know I'm whatever. Me and my mother went in for Botox last weekend.
No, your mother did not. You did.
No,
leave your mother out of this.
Cherie's been getting Botox since before it was FDA approved, okay?
Got it.
Anyway, so we go in there and we were talking to one of the guys, and this is like, I don't know if it's the largest hospital in Houston, but it's one of the biggest ones. Anyway, they have vaccinated 875,000 people at that hospital alone. And I'm pretty sure like 29 million is the population of Texas. I need to double check that, but I think that's the population of Texas. So a large portion of it has happened there. And so he asked if I have been vaccinated, and I said yes. And he said, have you got your booster? And I said, no, I'm not eligible yet, because I think, is it 8 months that you have to have?
I believe that's what it looks like now.
Okay. So anyway, I didn't get mine until April or May. I can't remember. I can check my card. But my mother's already got her booster, which I think is illegal because I don't think she's been whatever. But anyway.
You shouldn't maybe talk about that right now.
So anyhow, he said that 97% of the people in the hospital with COVID at that hospital were not vaccinated. And that 30% of the people that go on the ventilator unfortunately never come off. So, again.
And you have no reason to believe that he would give you false information.
No, because he's a really big Republican. The hugest. And
Makes
so,
sense.
but anyway, no. So I just found that interesting again.
Yeah.
So that was that. But
what do you think of Dr. Fauci? Do you want to start on him?
Well, I was going to say Dr. Fauci's in trouble.
I hope he's in trouble.
He's in
Remember
trouble.
treason and hanging?
Dr. Fauci lied again. But now they have him caught in a lie. So
he is covering his ass.
I guess, like, at some point he testified that there was no funding of the Wuhan lab that he was involved in, and now there's documentation and emails proving that that's wrong.
No, and I think they get it. NIH funded 65 projects at the Wuhan lab. 65. Mm-hmm. I don't care whether it's Corona, COVID. Why in the hell are we spending tax dollars in a Chinese lab, a military-based lab? It appears. I'm confused.
I cannot explain to you.
So specifically, the EcoHealth Alliance used government funding under Dr. Fauci's supervision to fund the Wuhan lab, specifically to take an animal virus, a bat coronavirus, and power it up to make it more contagious to humans. I don't know what more evidence you need than that documentation. There's a 90-page document that goes through this in detail. Fauci is trying to say he did not lie to Congress because of his technical definition of gain to function when question wasn't presented exactly as his lawyers tell him is the definition, is what he's trying to weasel out. But basically, remember, Ryan, when he tried to redirect us and said, no, this is animal-based, it wasn't gain to function, it wasn't human manipulated, it wasn't any of those things. He has a lot of reasons to push the other direction like he did for so long.
I don't understand, like, on this topic. Like, I realize that all politicians lie, and I'm not saying Fauci's a politician, but, like,
he's maybe worse.
When you know that you did this, like, how do you think you're going to get by with it on something this big? Like, that I don't understand.
I don't know. I know he was up at 2 or 3 in the morning when this first came out, and it was pushed a little bit, trying to cover his tracks with a lot of different people. This man needs prosecuted for the worst crimes against mankind that have taken place in modern history, Ryan. And I don't need to tell you what I think the outcome should be.
No, you probably want to shoot him in worse than the kneecaps.
Yep, wouldn't involve any shooting.
Okay.
Nope.
So, how about the fact that, first of all, our State Department is taking credit for private people, like private companies, private organizations are all veterans going in and rescuing people out of Afghanistan that they had nothing to do with.
While at the same time blocking
yes
jets from leaving Afghanistan.
Yes.
That are privately funded.
That was the other shoe to fall.
How can we do this both?
I don't know. Like, this is, this is unprecedented.
They claim because they're not properly vetted. We brought in 80,000 people that were not necessarily translators or helped the U.S. military or American citizens to get them out of there. And I'm okay with that.
Wait.
But we left.
You do know who is in charge of the vetting process now on who's leaving?
Oh, I do know. Why don't you explain to the listeners? Not only the Taliban, let's go a little further. You want me to take it one notch further? They are responsible for the vetting. They determine who comes and goes.
But
and guess
the leader.
What? Yes. You know who? What are the? Well, let me try to pull. I couldn't probably pronounce.
All
it.
I know is he was released from Guantanamo Bay when Obama. Oh no, he
Yes.
wasn't. Okay, sorry. When Obama released
4
all these
prisoners.
people, anyway, 80% of them are now in the newly formed Taliban government over Afghanistan. The leader of the vetting process has
The
like
interior minister.
Right, has a $10 million U.S. bounty on his head. Like
From the FBI.
The U.S. is offering $10 million for this man to be dead.
And he is now for the Afghan government, the newly formed Afghan government, the interior minister is this person Ryan's talking about, which we couldn't pronounce the name if we tried.
I couldn't pronounce his name if I tried.
This is the one that the FBI has a $10 million award leading to the arrest of this person. And the Biden administration at the same time is working with this person, trying to form some type of relationship. This is the same person that has held people hostage numerous times. There's nothing unknown about him. He's a terrorist. He's an evil person. He's going to hold everybody hostage that he can. It's unbelievable. And the 4 Gitmo prisoners that are in the cabinet or whatever you want to call it, I remember the Obama administration traded that for one of our soldiers that basically went AWOL in Afghanistan.
Yes.
Yeah,
and all 4 of them have senior positions.
So let's think about
of all the prisoners that have been released from U.S. custody, okay, one way or another, 80% of them yesterday got some kind of position or title in the Taliban government.
So clearly they needed to be clearly they needed to be arrested, and they were guilty of something if they were that popular.
Right. But yeah, so
that's great. Now let's think about who is the interior minister. We know we have that. We understand this. And then you have our Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, telling the world that the Taliban will allow anyone with paperwork out of Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. There is no one being held against their will, is what he says. Mm-hmm. This is nothing less than a hostage crisis now. Okay. I don't know who.
I don't see how they can't think they're going to send terrorists anywhere, wherever they want to, because they're in charge of the vetting process. But yet, there was a woman and her 3 children from Texas that got rescued by a guy and his veteran group that's running for Congress in Florida. And she has told everybody that the State Department hindered her getting out, had nothing to do with her maneuvering through the checkpoints, all this other stuff. This was all this veteran group. I wish I could remember this guy's name because he is running for Congress in Florida. Anyway.
Was it the Pineapple Express one?
No, but that's another one. Pineapple Express is doing a lot, but this guy was like, he has his own little veterans group, and I don't even know what they call themselves. But anyhow, this woman goes on multiple TV programs saying, no. Mm-hmm. The State Department meets her at the border, at wherever country she crossed into to be safe. So that's how they're claiming that they did this.
Oh, yet the State Department, Blinken, Biden, his administration still ignoring
Winky,
all
and
of
Clyde,
this.
Or what? I mean,
yeah, they're ignoring that this is. They're just pretending that everything is fine there and trying to keep the media onto another one, and the mainstream media is following it. Afghanistan, everything went great. We took 100,000 people out of there. We're heroes. Complete bullshit on every level.
I don't think anybody's buying it because even the poll numbers released yesterday, they think this is what, like, I guess over the holiday weekend, 2/3 of the news things that were clicked had to do with Afghanistan. So this is not going away.
No,
the American people did not forget about it.
And you realize what Biden, with his surrender and everything that he gave, basically the Taliban, all of the military equipment, technology, we've created nothing short of a terrorist superstate. And this is like nothing recent history has ever witnessed. It's beyond what we can even imagine. If you think for 1 minute we will not have to go back in there at some point to try to get terrorism back under control, you're crazy. And now we go in from ground zero, scratch, when we had everything already in place. It's a mess. It's a mess beyond belief.
Yeah,
climate change. Did you know that caused all that is what the new problem is? I hear.
I don't.
Not
know.
Afghanistan, not the southern border, not COVID. Climate change.
Okay, and then I have like another point of contingency. It has nothing to do with climate change. So, your president went
Oh,
to
we don't want to take that route.
New York and New Jersey yesterday to survey the damage and talk to some of the people that were affected by Hurricane Ida.
Because of climate change. So you are on topic.
Wait. I am not a meteorologist, but I know where Ida hit. It was not New York or New Jersey.
But it did move that direction.
Yeah, but it would have been considerably weaker by the time it got there. Why
it was a flooding issue. Flooding.
Why? There's no FEMA on the ground anywhere near New Orleans. No, I mean, nothing. There's still 500,000 people without power. But
I was not aware of that.
Oh, yes. No, this was on the news this morning. The big, huge guy from New Orleans that is always on with Greg Gutfeld. I can't think of his name. Anyway, he's literally from there. He said that there's no FEMA, no nothing. 500,000 people without power. And my heart goes out to the New York, New Jersey people. Did Biden, what is Biden doing for the people that were directly in the aftermath right there when it hit? Do we know?
He went to Louisiana or somewhere and said, I'm going to take care of everything. We're not
doing?
Leaving until we're done. I don't know. I do not. I cannot answer that question.
You know that he got heckled this weekend.
I did hear that, and I'm okay with that.
I am too. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of proud of those people.
And then normally maybe I'd go against it, but I'm okay. It is to the point where we have to do something because they're going to ignore everything. When he gets on right now, this isn't about the victims in New Jersey or New York or Mississippi or Louisiana. It's about the political advantage to push climate change, and then he can push his entire green bill that's more money than we've ever dreamed of spending. It will put us into debt beyond generations. He's all about it.
I just hope that we're getting closer, but normally, and this is one of the problems in our country, I'm not going to lie to you. So whether it's a midterm year or a presidential election year, normally a year before those elections, basically nothing gets done because everybody's afraid to go on one side or the other because they're trying to get reelected. So we're in September. I'm hoping that we make it to November, because then we're in that year thing where it's really hard to get anything passed and anything done. And then we take back the House and the Senate and we can be okay.
That is a perfect scenario, Ryan.
But I am not promoting this because I think one of the biggest bullshit problems in the American political system is just that we have midterm elections every 2 years, presidential elections every 4 years, and they for a whole year, nothing basically gets passed because everybody trying to get reelected is scared to go on one side or the other.
Yep, absolutely.
But anyway,
Ryan, this is the longest current events yet.
No, it's not. But anyway, so are you done?
And we should have just done it Beyond the Circus and have it done. But
no, we'll do that later.
This is a lot of crap going on in the world. I just received a text that I think you'd be very proud of, Ryan. I probably better share it with you.
What?
Katie, my youngest daughter.
Uh-huh.
Dad, if you get a call from the school, it'll probably be about her never bringing a mask to school and always having to use the one that schools provide, and they're not very happy with her.
Ah.
And you know what? She tells me that after wearing them all day and then for volleyball practice, they're disgusting. So she just throws it away, and they provide them at school. So she doesn't wear one, and they obviously have her put one of theirs on. But I think they are wearing thin on her using their mask every day. I may support her on this one.
Why? If they're going to make her wear a mask, then they have to provide it. Sorry.
That's where she's at. And we can probably afford to go get her a box of masks, but out of principle, maybe we should stick with her.
If you go buy a box of masks, I swear to God, I will come up there and hurt you.
Oh, I can't imagine we'll be getting a call from the principal on it, but you just never know. But she did give us heads up.
So, before we move into the main topic, I do want to give a shout out to Boxell Manufacturing, who is our sponsor for the past 3 weeks of our podcast. I don't know if he'll do it next week, but right now he's going to. So, anyhow, but yeah. And again, Boxel Manufacturing is a great company. I think all their products are American made, or Dale wouldn't let them be on here probably.
Exactly. They've at least gave me that impression.
So they lied to you. No, I'm joking.
Well, either they're lying to us, or they are. I believe that company is probably pretty strong.
I'm just joking. But they have all American made products, and they have show boxes and blow dryers, and this is like the third generation of being in the show supply industry, I think. And so, great company. What?
And I believe in the past they were wholesaling it out to different companies, and now they're just going straight to the retail. That's why everybody thinks Boxel is new, but no, they've been manufacturing these things for a very long time. They're just now on their own. But I do appreciate Boxel for supporting us, and I think they're supporting us as much out of they appreciate the education out there in this industry and some of the things we're doing on the podcast, and they want to make sure this continues. So for that, we thank you.
That's why they're supporting us?
That is what I heard.
I thought they were supporting us because I was pretty. No,
I don't know. Maybe.
Damn it!
But anyway, if you, we would encourage you, if you're thinking about a show box, a blower, at least consider Boxel. Go to their website, give them a call. I don't think you'll be disappointed
to their social media. It's so funny.
It is pretty good. It is pretty good. Are you ready for the main topic that you came up with?
Yes, that you don't like. Which you don't like.
No, I think it's good. I loved the one last week. It generated hate mail. It was great.
I know you got hate mail. I'm so excited.
And I did not tell people.
It's like the first hate mail Dill's ever got. I'm just so excited. I love it.
I did not tell people that they shouldn't lease livestock. I just said it does not work for me. But whatever they want to do is great.
By the end, you were so upset and worked up. I don't think you know what you were saying, sir. But anyway, hopefully, I will probably get all the hate mail this week, so it's fine.
It did stimulate some discussion. Get people to think about it, and there are good things to leasing livestock, and there are some things that people aren't going to like. It just is what it is. But at least we brought it out in the open. And again, I think you do whatever works best for you. This week, we're going to talk about showing market animals versus showing breeding stock.
Yes.
There can't be any controversy there, right?
Oh, no, none at all. And again, before I go any further, I'm going to tell you my opinion. I am not trying to make everybody have my opinion, but I get to have an opinion because some of my opinions this week are not going to be real popular, and that's okay. But just my opinion, and I don't think there's anything wrong with showing market, breeding, or both. You pick and choose whatever you want to do, have the funding available for, etc. But I do think this is a topic because I do think that there are advantages and disadvantages to showing one or the other. And a lot of times, not everybody does both. Not always, but not a lot of times.
Agreed. And if anybody, I want to make sure to get this in there. If anybody wants to send Ryan hate mail, please copy me in it so I can enjoy it.
So he can relish in it. That's what he would like. He loves it when I get hate mail.
So we're just going to talk about across species the differences between the two. That is not going to offend anybody.
No, right? Okay, sure deal.
Would you prefer? Obviously, you prefer showing one versus the other. Did you show breeding stock and market? Obviously, market.
Oh yeah, I showed breeding and market. Like, I mean, we spent big money like insane money putting together a purebred Simmental operation. And I mean, I showed Angus cattle from Ankeny. I mean, I had lots of heifers, so I did both. And
you feel very well versed on both sides.
I'm not going to say, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, then continue.
I think that the first thing that I want to point out is that depending on what the income situation is, not talking about your personal income, but how quick a turnaround do you need income to like purchase the next project? I think that's a big driving factor in this. Because whether people want to admit it or not, in market animals, you show that animal, make the sale, whatever you do, don't make the sale, you can get a direct return in your investment right away. Now, it may not be what you paid for that animal or what you wanted, but you can get a return on that investment right away so you can purchase the next one. And that is not something that is as easily available in the breeding side. Would you at least agree with that, Dale?
I would, but your direct return for most, and again, this is a Texas versus everywhere else thing, maybe.
No.
A direct return for most market animals is going to be market price.
Yeah,
but that's if you only have one animal and you put it through your county fair sale, or you make a sale at a state fair or a national show, which there's very few of those. But yeah, if you have one animal and you send it through your county show and they have an auction, yes.
Right.
But if you have more than one,
market price or not, you're still getting a direct return on your investment.
Correct. You're getting a return. It may not be what you put into it.
Okay. See, why do you have to argue with me when I'm right?
Go ahead, continue.
On the breeding side, unless you sell a portion of that animal, sell flushes, sell embryos, or, whatever, then you're going to have to wait till progeny is born. And so, again, that's a long-term commitment and investment where you're probably going to generate more dollars, but it's going to take you longer. So I just
not only when progeny are born, but you've got to get them to a saleable age or weight before
right.
you're selling them as well.
Right. And so, I mean,
long turnaround.
Right. I said, so there's short-term return, long-term return. And again, both of them, I'm not going to tell you that you're going to make money on either of them. But I think that is truly one of the factors that does make a lot of decisions for a lot of people on which way they're going to go. I may be wrong.
There's something to that, but I think there's a lot of people that take the opposite side, that they're more willing to spend money on a breeding animal because they feel there's more salvage value there than in a market animal, that she can be sold as a breeding animal or used in a breeding operation, where the market animal, unless you make that sale, is just going on to the sale barn.
No, what I just said, I think that there is more that people that make decisions, if they're just going to pick one, whether they show breeding or market, around the rate of return on income, the investment, what they think they can get out of this in the long term.
Agreed. And I'm gonna jump ship and do a complete flip circle back here.
Imagine that, Jen Stockton.
And in all reality, if you were to come into the breeding side and leased a female of any species, that's probably in a lot of cases, not every, going to be the most economical route, where you lease it and give it back. You know exactly how much money you're going to be putting into it across the board, and that can almost be budgeted. But if leasing is legal, and I did have a comment from one of our listeners, Ryan, that they tried to put leasing into their FFA record books, and it just did not work.
That was last week's topic, though.
Well, leasing leasing would be part of acquiring a breeding animal. Would it not?
I'm just playing.
Could be.
You. I'm just giving you help.
I'm almost in favor of that right now when we're talking about the financial side of it.
Okay, next.
Okay, so with that said, Ryan, which brought more recognition, or which was more highly publicized, when you won a market show or a breeding show?
Oh, market show. There's no doubt. And
do you believe it to be true still today?
Yeah, I do think that there is still more pomp and circumstance around winning a market show than winning a junior show. And I can sum it up real easily. At every market show, there's a supreme overall. There's not in every breeding show. So I win right there.
So you think that's a large part of the driving force?
Well, I'm just saying.
The supreme overall.
Well, Dale, when there's only one winner, who's the supreme champion? Who beat everybody? Who conquered all?
Well, I obviously, Louisville, Kansas City has a supreme heifer as well.
Yes. But they're both in recent history.
Yes. What about the prestige of winning the Angus Junior National or another one of the breed Junior Nationals?
That's a huge thing.
It is, yeah. and think about think about, use any of them for example. I don't know if all of them have steer shows there, but the steer shows that are hosted by those are secondary to the heifer shows by quite a bit.
Yes, they are. I will agree with that. Because those people are all breeding stock people. But
okay,
again, I'm going to go with the fact when Denver, Kansas City, Louisville, whatever major show you want to happen, what goes in the newspaper?
I would agree. There's no question. And I think you could throw
Okay,
state
so
fairs
then
into
why
that.
are you arguing with me again when I'm right?
No, I'm not. I agree that they get more publicity. I'm not agreeing that that's.
That is what you just said. You asked me what got more recognition.
Yes, they get more publicity. I don't agree it's deserving. That's the part
you didn't say deserving. You asked what got more recognition.
That is, they definitely, and I think you better, no question, you take it down to the state fair level and maybe even the county fair level.
And
I don't know as much there, but.
And I believe that a big part of that is because of when you see those on the news, when you see those in newspapers, all that other stuff, there is a premium auction involved, or a sale of champions, an auction, whatever. And they cover that not only because the kids are involved, but more, I think, actually more because local businesses are there spending money. It looks good for the local businesses, all this other stuff. I think that's as big a part as why they're covering it as anything else.
And that's generating the publicity.
Yes.
Helping contribute to such. Yeah. So now let's go to the topic that I don't have an answer for, but you will. Is it deserved that the market is more prestigious?
I'm going to say probably 10 years ago, absolutely. I think, the last 15 to 10 years, I think the breeding side on all species has just become insanely competitive. But I don't think that was that way 10 or 15 years ago. Not that it wasn't competitive. It was not as competitive. It was much easier to win the Simmental heifer breed at any major show, any state fair, any junior national, than it was to win the steer show at a Denver, Kansas City, Louisville, Texas major, etc.
10 or 15 years ago.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And what about today? More difficult?
I think they're about the same.
Okay.
I don't think there is one that is tougher. Now, but so you go, let's take that further. In most of the, like Kansas City, Louisville, and Denver, there are no breeds in the steer show. We're just saying. Okay. So everybody's out for each other. Heifer show, there's multiple breeds. Now, in goats, doesn't matter because there's no breeds in either. But like pigs, all those major shows have breed champions that you can get out there and fight for and whatever. I'm not sure. On Louisville, I know has sheep breeds. Kansas City has sheep breeds. I'm sure Denver has sheep breeds too. So that's a difference in what the cattle versus whatever. I think that is why that the breeding side has become more competitive, is because there's more outlets for kids to win, because winning your breed's a big deal. At the major steer shows, you either win your division or win your breed, or win your division or win the show, and that's it. You see what I'm saying?
At some of the national shows.
Right, yeah.
Nope, I get that. I can see that. In the steer world, do you think it's and maybe the gap is closed, but you would need to be on a team or in somebody's camp, or that broker or breeder, more so a broker now, assisting from a feeding, fitting, political, lots of different avenues to find success at that level.
I think that's everything. With that or not?
Even
I don't think that's just the steer world. I think that's every world.
Yeah, I think I would say 10 or 15 years ago in the heifer world, it wasn't as needed.
No, I agree. But now, when everything's so competitive, we're not just talking about steers, we're talking about pigs and whatever. I think that you're going to need outside forces on your camp to be competitive at a national level on almost anything.
Yeah. What about the self-gratitude that if you have this amazing female of any species and you can get her out there and show her and get her across, and that's one that can just truly change the direction of your program or maybe even the breed. To me, that would be self-rewarding, maybe even more so than having that champion market animal.
I think there's a lot in that, and I agree with you completely. I think the problem with and yes, you may know that and do that, whatever. Again, saying that you have a breed changer and making them a breed changer is a big difference.
And getting them across as well.
Right.
And think about some of those true breed changers that are different or unique. Those don't always get along in the show ring.
I was going to say, a lot of those didn't have real good show careers.
Nor do they even go to the show ring because,
I was going to say, some of them never even make it.
Yeah. I would agree completely with that. Is it more difficult to feed? I guess we kind of already covered this. More difficult to feed and manage a steer versus and we're talking just about cattle. We can go into other species. I no longer believe there's a big difference in terms of difficulty of feeding the breeded versus. I think they've all become extremely competitive, and we've got to do a phenomenal job managing at every level.
No, I don't think there's any difference there in terms of that. I think you got to be on your A game regardless if you're going to win at those top tiers, whether it's breeding or market, in terms of feeding, daily care, all that stuff. And I'm going to put Dale on the spot, and he's going to argue with me, and he's going to lie to you people. I'm going to tell you right now, he's going to lie to you because I know, and he will lie, and that's fine. That's how Dale is. He's like Biden. But Dale Hummel.
I may not even answer this question with that
I will openly admit right here that whether I was a kid showing or being a broker, helping a kid, whatever, there was absolutely no comparison in the adrenaline rush that I got when I won a major steer show, or my kids won a major steer show, compared to winning Supreme Breeding Heifer. And I'm just telling you, there's no comparison in my book. None, zero, none. And all you breeding people, send me hate mail. That's fine. Because I've done both. And I was super excited to do both, but there's no comparison. You only show wethers. And that is the reason why.
That is not correct.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
We have shown at least 2 does at Louisville.
Oh, at least 2. You've had 4 kids that have gone.
An occasional doe at the Illinois State Fair.
You can spin this any way you want, Jen Psaki. You know what I'm saying. Would you like me
to tell you why we don't show does?
Okay, go right ahead.
It's my anal behavior that I don't want them leaving the place and having been exposed to pathogens. I don't want anything that could cause them to not do well in our embryo transfer program. And because of exactly what you're saying, my children, I'm going to come to your side on this one, or my children anyway. Probably for the basic reason they started out showing wethers, because I didn't allow our donor or keeper does to go off the farm. Basically, they are not interested in showing does like they are market animals. Maybe it's because of that same thing you're talking about, the adrenaline rush and the excitement of winning one of those market shows.
When Tara decided to show cattle, what'd she show?
She's only shown 2 steers in her entire cattle career. Yes.
Okay.
But wouldn't you think
Dale's lying and spinning, but I
told you that everything I told you was the truth.
You blamed it on your children.
No, they prefer I would probably, it's going to do our business because we sell more wethers than we sell does. It's to our advantage to have animals do well at the national level on the market side from a marketing standpoint, I believe. So I'm biased towards that for many reasons, but I am not going to argue with you that for whatever reason, and it can be everybody's individual personal reasons, there seems to be for a lot of individuals much more excitement coming from winning that market show. But I don't know what it would be like. I've never experienced this, nor have my kids, winning a Angus Junior National or Simmental Junior National. I think that would be comparable. And you're still holding strong, aren't you?
I have.
Oh, I feel the hate mail. I hope they copy me in it.
I'm just saying. I hope
they do. I think that would be huge. I think, and again,
it is, but I'm telling you, there is just something different. I can't explain it. I can't describe it. There's just something different.
And I have another example I can use for you.
Mm-hmm.
So the junior ABGA Junior National Goat Show, we won a couple of years. I believe we won the weather show both years, and it was much smaller than the doe show. And we did take 1 doe to that and did well, I think, in division and that was all the further she got. But I can promise you that my daughters really seemed like they could care less how the doe was going to do, even though that was a bigger show than what the market weather show was. But they were excited to be competitive in the market show.
Exactly.
So I'm going with what you're saying.
Children are smart.
Yes, the one that refuses to take a mask to school.
I love her. I love her the most.
Okay, so I'm kind of with you with that. What about, I can come to the other side of it from a practical standpoint, and this is a little bit geographic. At least here in the north, the show window, length of time we can continue showing a breeding animal is usually much greater than a market animal.
Well, of course, I mean
but we do have places like California and Texas where those jackpot shows, you'll show little bitties all the way up to big ones. Where here, a lot of times we don't have as much of that. It's pretty much, here's your prospect show, and that's all that shows there, not a market animal. We have a very narrow window of what you're allowed to take to that show, and I'm totally against that. I think let's bring them all. Let's bring the little bitties all the way up in these jackpot shows. Let every age, every weight come in. Maybe a national show? No, I'm okay. Here's a market show. But in some of these jackpots, I'm all for more animals being able to be there, kids getting in the ring more times, all of those.
No, I agree. I think that on the breeding side, that one of the advantages I'm not saying that there's more opportunities, but you get a longer period of showing one animal, and not just because of that the market one dies or anything else. There's just all of those shows. It is way more accepted, commonplace, whatever, that you can drag one that's just, I mean, like, wean, whether it's a sheep, a pig, a goat, or a heifer, than one that's just been weaned. There's one at every show I judge. I mean, there is. There is one. And then there's, like, in the cattle, there's cow-calf pairs, or in goats and sheep and pigs, there are ones that are, far along in gestation and stuff like that. So, yeah, there is a broader window there to show those animals. I agree with that completely.
And I think that works to a lot of people's advantage. And the goat thing, I think they show those full bloods or percentages until they're 6, 7. I mean, forever, it seems like.
Yeah.
So there are. What about if we go back to just cattle and putting steers in the cooler? What about the amount of time that kids are spending with their market project versus their breeding project? I would say in general, at a lower level, at the county fair jackpot level, maybe a little more time going towards the market animals, maybe. At the high end level, the junior nationals, the nationals, yeah, it's the same. And are we putting heifers in the cooler room?
Okay, so this is probably going to get the most hate mail, and I don't care. I'm telling you, I have won multiple junior nationals. Not just me, kids, whatever. All of our heifers were in the cooler room. So, there you go.
Yet, when we go to some of these junior nationals, you don't see a lot of them there with hair like they're coming out of a cooler room.
I'm just telling you what we did and what worked for us. And if I had cattle back, I have 2 cool rooms within 100 feet of me where I'm sitting right now. And if I had heifers, they'd be in them right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
Well, you do have some Hereford cattle around there. Maybe you ought to bring one in.
No. We have cows. We do not have any show cows here. We're not even getting into that. Next.
One other thing on the feeding of market versus breeding. If people are following the rules, there is maybe, and they're both an art, but having the use of beta agonist, such as Paylean in hogs or Zilmax in cattle, where the shows allow and some shows do not allow. But as far as the FDA, both of those are approved, Paylean or ractopamine for hogs and cattle, and Zilmax and ractopamine for cattle. But read the rules, because each show is a little bit different. We're having difficulty marketing animals that have been fed Paylean or Zilmax into the commercial marketplace sometimes. But with that, I think it's intriguing, just the knowledge and the different ways people are going to feed some of those things or not feed in the market side. And I'm not saying it's not going on in the breeding side, but technically it is not appropriate.
I think there is differences there. I think one thing that is very interesting to me on all of this is that and this doesn't happen in Texas, so I can say kudos to Texas for this, but like, There's always drug testing on the market side. There's not always drug testing on the breeding side.
And I'm not sure that's a good thing.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm saying I don't understand why that is.
I would agree with that, especially maybe because there's an auction and a sale and more dollars involved coming from the show. But yeah, I'm with you, absolutely with you. And I don't know what it currently is. I think they're doing a little more urine testing or blood testing in some of the breeding side, but it's minimal relative to the market side.
I mean, like in Texas majors, San Antonio and Houston, where their scholarships are on the line in the breeding, you got a drug test. And so, I mean, I get it if there's not a big, huge prize involved or whatever, but like I have never quite understood why forever there was no drug testing in the breeding side, and there always was on the market side. So I just find
I think it was the perception that the market side is more apt to do something illegal than the breeding side, and I want to go on the record that is probably a falsity at this point in time.
The biggest fake news.
Yes, I'm going to go right into that one and be very at one point in time, maybe not, but as of now, no question. What about intense exercise, tracking, treadmilling, things like that? We aren't going to find a lot of that or as much of that on the breeding side.
Probably not. Again,
walking, sure,
right, but like not the hardcore. I mean, you got to walk those gilts just as much as the bears. I'd
say on the pig side, it's probably pretty similar.
But I think in the sheep and goats, probably the exercise program is not as intense as it is for a market animal.
So there are differences. I don't think you caused as many headaches to people with your opinions today as maybe I would have hoped.
I'm sorry. I'm just like trying to put it out there.
But you're right. But I'm sure that it's every individual person in that family, how they were. We talk about all the time, Ryan, that as somebody judging a livestock show, your previous experiences are going to dictate what you select and where your priorities are. I think the same thing here, that if you grew up in a breeding animal family and that's what they focused on, that's going to be pretty exciting for those kids. If you grew up in a different manner, maybe not. You're unique where it kind of came a little bit on both sides, but maybe it'd be more if those animals have been the breeding animals that you raised, maybe it would have felt different for you rather than going out to buy them. I don't know. But I think environment, I'm sure there's kids out there that get just or more excited to win a big breeding show as a big market show. But in general, I agree with you 100% that it appears as though the market animal shows are more prestigious.
No. And again, I'm not saying that's right because now at this point, again, 10, 15 years ago, I don't think the breeding show was competitive. Now in all species it is. And I do believe that. So they should be the same level of prestige. I'm just telling you that it is very obvious in all the reasons that I pointed out at the beginning of this podcast that it's not as prestigious in many ways. And secondly, and I will say this again, me personally, this is not speaking for anybody else. This is speaking for me personally. It does not matter. I can't describe it. I can't explain it to you. There's just a different adrenaline, a different feel, a different rush when I have been part of winning a market show compared to winning a breeding show. And that's just my personal standpoint.
No, but that's easy enough to follow. I'm good, Ryan. Do you have any more on your main topic?
No. Please send Dale hate mail.
No, I'm not going to get it. I did nothing. I learned my lesson last
Dale
time.
I think Dale should get all the hate mail for
I'm going to stay much more neutral.
Yeah, because by God, one time he gets worked up on something. Wow.
Okay, and I should have brought this out before, but before we get into question and answer, Ryan, I wanted just a little bit of update. I noticed that you had a post up on what shows BTR JLA, what shows you want them accredited. Give us some ideas of shows. That post went very, very well. It looks like you're getting lots of response from that. So those of you out there, those listeners, those exhibitors that want to be a part of the Beyond the Ring Junior Livestock Association or a member of that, I want to remind you, in case you didn't catch the Facebook Lives that we did a couple weeks ago and Ryan had here last week, this is a national livestock association. It's broke down by states, regions, and national level. to supplement maybe what you're already doing in your local point circuit. But please feel free to reach out through Facebook, through email, whatever direction you can go through the Beyond the Ring Junior Livestock Association website. If there's shows that you want sanctioned, if it's your county show, go to that county fair superintendent or the fair board and say, hey, we want to sanction this with this association. It doesn't cost anything. We just have to fill out this form. Please, we can't do all the legwork, especially at the county level. So you guys, you members, future members, need to get out there and say, hey, let's get it. It's to your advantage to get that county show on board.
Yeah, and again, like just to touch on that, we stated at the beginning that counties and state fairs will be sanctioned for free, and we're standing by that. And we will contact every state fair at some point via email saying we want you to be sanctioned. All we need is your results. We can't make those state fairs send us the results, but we are going to contact them, reach out, and hope that they will. If they don't, then we're going to have to report that to y'all, and then maybe the people in that state can work on them, helping us out. I'm just being as honest as I can be on the county fair level at y'all. Several people posted comments about giving me a list of their county shows and contact number. I don't have that much time on my hands, and I can't pay somebody to call every county show in the country to get them sanctioned. Again, we're doing this for free on those two. So therefore, the county fair level, it's all y'all. And I'm not being rude about it. I'm just being honest and real. You want your county fair sanctioned, you're going to have to take that initiative. You're going to have to make it happen. We have offered it free to them. All we need is that form filled out, and all we need are the results. So
print that form off and take it to your county fair superintendent or your board or whatever. Print it off for them. Make it easy. Fill the darn thing out for them, so all they have to do is sign it.
Right.
Do whatever you can to foster
on the
that.
County fair level, that is all y'all. I'm just telling you, being as honest as I can be. I believe in full transparency. The reason I asked about series is we are trying to get as many shows all across the country sanctioned as possible. Series are a very easy. The reason that I'm focused on series right now, and I'm not focused as much on individual jackpot shows, is because if I go to a series, whoever the leader of that series is, say they have 16 shows. And I say, if you will just sanction all of them with us, all I need is your calendar, the information. All of those shows send the results to whoever is in charge of that series, whether they put them all on or it's an association that has multiple people put them on. They all go to one person or one office. That office can send them directly to us. So that's why I am focused on series and associations right now instead of contacting individual jackpot shows that y'all put up there. I want everybody to sanction, but they can also contact us. But I am focusing on other associations and other show series right now because that gets more shows in more parts of the country for these members to go to. So
absolutely,
that's what I'm trying to do. And again, if a series or an association says, you know what, we don't want to do this, we appreciate the offer, whatever, then I will have to, or somebody will have to start going to individual shows within that association or series and see if they want to sponsor or they can come to us. You don't have to be invited to do this. I want you to know that. Anybody that has a show in the United States of America can sanction with us. All you got to do is print off the form, fill it out, send it to us, and then, again, there are sanctioning fees involved. We are working with people on those this first year in various ways. But again, we have to generate income to pay for these awards. And the only way to do that is through memberships, sanctioning fees, and sponsors. So,
and it comes down to, Ryan says we would have to hire several individuals if we're going to contact every county show, every jackpot show. So let's even take it a step further. Those of you that were talking about contacting your county shows, don't be afraid to talk to your local jackpot shows and make sure they're aware of it and how simple it is. And if you're a show that's just starting out and you don't have enough to to cover that sponsorship fee. We're here to try to help you out this first year and get as many people on board as we can. So anybody that's out there showing, if you give us a list of shows, don't be afraid to touch base with somebody in charge there and say, hey, this is simple. You can print out the form on the website and send it in, and you're sanctioned, or give Ryan or myself or Callie a call, whatever we need to do. We're going to try to help. But because we're taking all that money and putting it back into awards, there's not enough money to hire a bunch of staff to do these things. And if we did that, there's going to be a whole lot less awards available for kids.
Right. And that's the whole thing. Like, again, and nobody has complained about the sanctioning fees at all because they're way lower than most. But there's only 3 ways to generate income to make this happen for these kids: membership, sanctioning fees, and sponsors. And so, again, do your part to help us make this for all kids. Either become a member, become a sponsor, or help us get shows to sanction. We are working with shows on sanctioning fees. If they don't think that they can afford the $100 per ring this week, we are working with them. So we want to hear from you, but this is not an invitational only type thing. Any show in the nation can sanction with us.
No matter how large, how small, it does not matter.
Right.
With that, Ryan, thank you for the clarification. I think it's time for... You thought I forgot about it, didn't you?
I was hoping.
Question and answer. I actually went, before we started recording, I printed off some. I didn't even have to do it while you were talking.
Great.
Okay, the first one comes to us from Scott. At a jackpot show, do you feel a champion market animal should be market weight? For a little more detail, we were recently at a small goat show, and there are mostly local showmen and a couple circuit showers. The Grand and Reserve went to the circuit family. My issue is that the champion market wether was 70 pounds and the reserve was 52 pounds. They were good-looking animals, but not market ready.
This is at a jackpot show?
Jackpot goat market goat show.
Okay, see, I don't know what a jackpot market goat show is. I know what a jackpot show is, and I know that the jackpot shows they show market animals. I don't think there is. I don't think there is anything such as a jackpot market goat show because those animals aren't going to die there. It's not terminal. So therefore, it's truly not market.
But those in the north, a lot of times will refer to it as that.
I get they refer to it that. I'm telling you.
I'm with you. I'm all for showing any age, any weight.
My perspective as a judge is a jackpot show is not a market show because those animals are not going to die that day.
Got it.
And I know somebody's going to come back and say, well, they don't die at the county fair level sometime and all that stuff. You are correct. But at that show, they have instructed, and unless they instruct me at a jackpot show that they're supposed to be, judged as terminal as they were going to die today, I'm going to judge it like a jackpot show. And so therefore, the best one wins regardless of weight.
I agree 100%. But even if you were instructed to make it a market show, Ryan, there's nothing wrong with selecting a 70-pound and a 52-pounder. Because if it's a market show, the majority of the goats that are marketed are all getting a premium in that 60 pounds and under, and a lot of them are in that 20 to 50-pound range. There's such a demand for goat meat. They'll take 100-pound goats, but guess what? The market prefers those 50 to 60-pounders. We've set that aside in our goat showing world because they can get to 50 or 60 pounds pretty quick, and you're not having them on for various reasons. But if you want to get back to the basics of it, you can justify that because that is where the industry is. I know we don't want the industry and the show ring to overlap, but if we're talking about market ready, it kind of has to. In market ready in the goat world, 50 to 60 pounds is very, very popular. Does that mean I'm going to go out there and encourage my families to show 50 and 60 pound goats, or we're going to, or I'm going to use them all the time? No, but I'll tell you what, if that light goat is the best one there, I'm in. And I think you can justify it on multiple levels.
Agreed.
That was easy. That was the easiest question and answer yet.
Thank
the
God.
Next one comes to us from Tiffany. What is your opinion on alternative medicine being used on livestock? Alternative medicine has been used in performance horses for many years and has started to become popular in the stock show industry. Alternative drug-free services that can improve wellness of your animal. Some of these services include massage therapy, MagnaWave, PEMF therapy, kinetic tapping, acupuncture, laser therapy, chiropractic services. Many exhibitors have seen great results with these services, but yet more and more shows, including many of the Texas majors, are banning the use of these services on the grounds. What is your opinion of this type of service being used at the show on show animals?
Okay, so I know what she's going with here. There is this is a big deal in Texas. Like, a lot of the chiropractors have been banned from being able to do this on site and on location, all this other stuff. So my general take on this is I think it's fine. I think it's good. I think I have never, other than brokering animals to kids, I have never personally hired any type of alternative, whether it's MagnaWave or chiropractor, whatever. Now, several of my families that showed for me did this. I saw results. So in general, I think it's fine. Also, in general, I think whatever you can do to improve the health, performance, look, whatever of your animal that is within the rules of whatever show you're going to, go for it. So, like, if burning sage at your stall is going to help, I say get with it. But that's just my general thing. I do not understand. This is my whole blocking the MagnaWaves and the chiropractors and all this stuff. I go back to the thing with professional fitters. I do not understand why any show, I don't care what size it is, would want to prevent anyone in any capacity from helping a junior livestock exhibitor or their animal. And whether that's a professional fitter, whether that's a chiropractor, whether that's a MagnaWave, whatever it is, I think there is something innately wrong. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Very wrong in making a rule to prevent other individuals from helping kids and their projects. I have never understood it. I will never understand it. And it really bothers me that is out there in this world.
Agreed. I'm going to take it from a personal experience. I've gone to a chiropractor before, and I feel pretty good when I leave on occasion. Sometimes it doesn't help. Sometimes it does. And I have not gone often. I also have went to a chiropractor that did acupuncture, Ryan, for I think a shoulder problem that I might have encountered out on the motocross track. And they stuck a bunch of pins in me. You want to know what it did for me?
What?
Absolutely nothing.
I'm not saying, again, I'm not saying that it all works. I'm saying every kid, every family should have the right to be able to use whatever they think works, as long as it, and no chiropractor is going to do anything that is detrimental to anybody or that animal. Same way with MagnaWave. So I have a big problem. I'm not saying it all works. I'm not saying it's all whatever. These are people. These are not drugs that are being administered. These are people working on these animals with instruments, their hands, etc. I just go back to the fact that I don't care if it's a fitter or what we're talking about. I think it is innately wrong that shows try to inhibit people helping kids in their projects. And I will never get off that, ever.
Fair enough. And on the acupuncture, I'm sure it does work for some people, maybe even animals. And I think on the chiropractic side, I think those that are very experienced with that species and qualified, I think they can, there's no question they're going to be able to make a difference on some animals. So I'm with you, Ryan. We're not harming the food chain. We're not doing anything that is going to cause a problem, I guess, in my opinion.
No.
The next one comes to us from Jeannie. I am not caught up on the episode, so sorry if this has already been discussed. Can you address feeding alfalfa versus Coastal, Sudan, or Timothy? Hey, which is the best to feed? We show goats, by the way.
Okay, Mr. Goat Guru, this is all you.
Okay. Well, we can apply it probably to any ruminant.
I must say not alfalfa.
Not alfalfa. Now,
I must say that's in a general rule.
Alfalfa advantages would be what? Probably higher protein. maybe even a little higher mineral and vitamin content. So there are some positives, but there's probably some negatives that come along.
Lots of negatives.
So part of the reason we're feeding a forage such as hay to ruminant animals, it's something called scratch value. We have microbes in that rumen that will oftentimes adhere to the rumen wall itself. And if we have something coarser going in there, some of those microbes get dislodged and they go further down the track, and they're actually absorbed as nutrients and oftentimes a good source of protein by that animal. So that scratch value is what we talk about in the commercial world, and I think it applies to the show world as well. And there's other reasons. When animals are chewing their cud, they're usually relaxed. There's a lot of good things. I think it's safe to say that if you go the coastal or what we call grass hay up on this side, you're probably going to be in a safer realm. My problem with alfalfa is sometimes we'll get some rapid fermentation that will come with some bloat. In certain, for sure in the goat side, there's some that are very much more prone to it. There's some goats you could just feed alfalfa to day and night and they're perfectly fine, but others, it's going to be a problem. That was kind of a boring explanation, Ryan.
Yes, it was.
Scratch value and microbes and
and glad you answered her question. I would have much preferred this question. What is the best thing to train your pigs with to keep their head up at the backdrop in pictures? Is it marshmallows? Is it, peppermints?
You've been waiting for that question.
God, I mean, as many hog backdrops I stand and you can't get two the same or almost. It's so crazy.
And we feed these hogs so hard, none of them are interested.
And then we give them cake mix and tuna fish and marshmallows after they win.
And then a lot of times they just want to chew on a pop bottle. That's what we end up using.
Literally, I've put my boot in their mouth to get them to stay still before. It was a real great picture, but that was the only way it went.
Well, those were pretty non-controversial question and answers, Ryan. Well, I think those were good.
You did a terrible job, Dale.
Well, I will dig deeper. I will
Dale.
even
remember.
And for those of you that emailed some question and answered, I just discovered the email password again. Or changed it, so we can go dig some of those out. But we seem to have plenty, so I'll have enough for next week. Until then, Ryan, thank you. This was a nice topic. Way too much crap going on in the world, so current events got a little long. But until next week, be safe.
Y'all come back now, you hear?